It needs to attack a Vanguard though. So one of these columns needs to a 20. Or else it's awkward. It's really awkward. Right? It needs to attack Vanguard. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked the Vanguard. Yeah, so... This is awkward. Jingle Flower's good. Jingle Flower's good. Hey yo, how's it going everyone? Entropy here today with another video. Today we're going to be doing another deck profile, this time of yet another meta deck on the global side of things, and that is Nectars. Now, I am personally not the best player with Nectars. Like, I have played a little bit of Musketeers. I really haven't played Asha until this set. So, you know, I don't have as much experience as some other players, but I did get some great advice from players here and there, and so I hope that I can demonstrate some of the knowledge I've learned and get to showcase this incredible meta deck. Now, this deck is ridiculous. If you faced off against this deck, you know how big these units are. And these are massive units and really a pain in the ass. So let's go to the deck and see my list and check out a few games or two to see how this deck plays out. So first of all, this is the starter. We are playing Maiden of Physalis. Physalis is a starter back a while back, but its skill is when the unit boosted by this unit hits a Vanguard, put this into your solo, checks out 5, and call a unit as rest. Now, before you could do some comboing off, you know, when you're superior calling something, you get to do some stuff. But now we're using Physalis as a way to consistently search for Arthuria. Before units that you called out this, Nectar never really had a resist unit that was really effective. But now Thuria has resist, so you know whenever you place it down, it's just safe and sound, and just very, very nice. You can also choose to play the Great Researcher. I tested the Great Researcher. I'm not a big fan of the Great Researcher. The reason being is because the deck does eat up quite a bit of counterblast, and it doesn't really have a lot of counter charge. And in that sense, I feel like you would rather mulligan harder for the Great 3 Asha rather than waste a CB1 for that. Note that Maiden of Physalis into the Stridefighter will not help you search into Asha because the Stridefighter requires on plates from hand, so that's something to note. And if you do miss Asha, the deck does hurt quite a bit, so you might need to mulligan a bit hard. But overall, the deck is just really solid, and Maiden of Physalis, I think, is the go-to starter for myself. Speaking of the Stridefighter, you know, Padmini. Remember, it can be used to search for Asha. Asha is very important as your grade 3 in this deck because it helps you plus and makes your units just consistent. It helps you get the same names or whatnot. So very important to have. Countercharging PGs, not that we have any other options right now, and countercharge is important. For Pia, I think this is really self-explanatory. It helps you put units back to the deck so that you can superior call them later on or do some combos. And it helps you scale up with the same unit name plus 3k. With the right setup, you have the whole board with the same name, so it should be a very, very beautiful pew pew numbers, and it gets really, really big. And lastly, we play one of the Lady of the Sunlight Forest. Now, this is, I think this is a little bit odd. I tested, you know, the resist Cray Elemental as well. I don't think that's necessary. The only reason why we have this at 1 is because it helps us filter and draw. In some cases, maybe you want to draw into your Thurias, you maybe want to draw into your Ashas. This gives you one more check. And so it makes it for an ideal first stride target. Not so important, it's just there because it's a 13th grade 1. The grade 2s, we play 4 Thurias. This is the protagonist of the deck. It's just amazing. First of all, it has resist, which is just really, really good. Secondly, it has a skill, if your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater ranunculus, which is basically Asha, this card is placed with the additional card names of all your other units. So, in terms of placement order, this should be placed, well, last for that turn. When you have everything else, you place a Thuria to copy everything else's name. Okay. Then, it also has GB1. At the start of your main phase, if your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater ranunculus, return a card with the same name as your unit, as this unit from your drop zone to your deck to return this unit to your hand. This is amazing because if you have Asha on the Vanguard circle, then you can return an Asha from the drop zone to the deck. Grade 3s are triggers, and you know the drill. In one really wild game, I called down a heal trigger, and what that meant was Thuria allowed me to return heal triggers from the drop zone to the deck, and that was bonkers. I don't know if I would recommend that play in most scenarios, but if you're playing a really long game and you do need that booster, I guess, play it on the heal, play it on the Thuria. Thuria can now return heals from the drop zone to the deck, which is amazing. We play 4 of the Maiden of Lost Memory. We got this a while back, but it's just really great as well. Vanguard GB1, when this hits a Vanguard, command 2, draw 1 for each unit with the same card name. And for if you have another unit with the same card name, it's this countercharge 1. So, just helps you draw good cards. Thuria copies the name, so that's another way you get to draw extra cards. Be careful not to overdraw. There's a reason why we don't play 9 draws in this deck. If you do use Maiden of Lost Memory like once during that game, chances are you need to be careful with deck management, honestly, or just spam more PS or whatever. So just manage your cards wisely. Don't deck out, because the deck can do that quite well, for better or worse. We play 4 of the Maiden of Gladiolus. It's just amazing. When attacking Vanguard, if boosting count as one card with the deck with the same card name as your other rearguards, just helps you multi-attack. It's just great. And we play 1 of the Saliana. Now, Saliana, this is a tech slot. I think you have some other options as well. You have the grade 2 Pia if you want. But I like Saliana because it's one place if your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater Rankless. Count last 1, Soul Charge 1, Soul Blast 1 to call a card with the same name as your rearguard, and this gets plus 2k. We don't play this card mainly for any of the other skills. Maybe plus 1 is nice during the early game when you don't want to commit. But the main reason is because of Soul Blast 1, right? All your grade 2s, grade 1s are valuable, and the Soul Blast 1 means that you can Soul Blast if you had to ride into like a Maiden, or if you had to ride into the Thuria, you get to Soul Blast it and then chuck it back to the deck with your skills and do more cloning and shenanigans. So that's the main reason why the deck doesn't have any other Soul Blast costs. So this is your only way to do that. Is it important? Not really, but it's valuable and you can play it as a one-off. For the grade 3s, we're playing 4 of the Ashas. Asha's really great. During your turn, GB2, your unit is plus 5, the same name plus 5 again. And when your G unit strides, count as 1, call a card. You may call something out. You can choose to not call it and still get the second skill. You get to call a card with the same name as something on your board, and that unit gets plus 2. So you can call a Thuria. Thuria copies the names, and then Thuria can bounce your hand and do all that stuff. Place plus 3, same as all the other grade 3s. We play 2 of the Maiden of Flower Pistol. It has resist, and Vanguard Rearguard Circle GB1. When your other rearguard's placed, this gets the additional card name until the end of the turn. So I really like the pistol behind the Vanguard, just because it's a grade 3, and you just place it there, it copies all the names, and it just leave it there, and it's fine and dandy. Lastly, we play 3 of the Maiden of Frildrod. Maiden of Frildrod just helps you multi-attack as well. Vanguard Rearguard Circle GB1. When it hits a Vanguard, count as 1, call a card with the same name as one of your rearguards other than itself. So just extends your combos and 4 heal guards. For first stride, you're going to go into the Arborea. Arborea basically says on hit, call something else with the same card name, give it plus 2. So extend your multi-attacks, or just fill up the board with Thurias or whatever. For your second stride, generally you're going to go into the Jingle Flower, which says GB2 once per turn, G Persona, to choose one of your rearguards, and all of your units gets plus 2k for each of the same card name as that unit. Generally, the one you're going to target is going to be a back row resist unit. Back row either this or the Thuria. Reason being is because if it dies, the whole board loses that skill, right? So you want to make sure that the passive exists in that way, and the only way to do that is to make sure that that unit has resist and in the back row, so it can't be attacked into, right? So important to note in some matchups, like in most matchups, you want to choose the resist unit behind your Vanguard. Reason being is because you still have cards like Root Flare Dragon that can bypass resist if one unit in the same column doesn't have resist. And secondly, of course, if your opponent has like Upheaval, I guess they outplay you. But just pray for RNG, and there's only so many upheavals in that G unit G slot, right? And lastly, we also have the Asha grade 4 as an option to multi-attack. At the start of your battle phase, you get extra power. And GB2, G Persona, to call a card with the same card name as your rearguard from your deck, and that unit gets plus 2k and can attack from the back row. So note that only the units you call from the skill can attack from the back row, so you can't choose another of the same name or whatever. So make sure to keep that back row empty, or that column empty. And overall, it's just really simple card, just helps you multi-attack and whatnot. And when you're really late into the game and still want to multi-attack, but you're low on deck, you go into the Primavera. When this unit attacks Vanguard, count as 2, return 5 cards with no triggers from drop zone to your deck to call 2 cards, up to 2 cards from your deck with the same card name as your rearguards. So it's just great. You know, you fill up that deck back. You can choose whatever you need to Spirit Call, and then multi-attack. So it's really simple. The deck just multi-attacks. You have four. You have half the G zone that focus on multi-attacking. You have half the G zone that focus on defense. And your main deck has very defensive units and also very offensive units and cards that sustain your gameplay. So overall, the deck does everything a deck wants to do. You know, if you want a very aggressive multi-attack deck, you have that. If you want a really tanky defensive deck, you have that. And if you want options, you definitely have that. So overall, I think it's a really competitive deck. Am I the best player of it? Not really. But I definitely think the deck is up there, and I'm sure you can play it better than I will. Lastly, speaking of the trigger lineup, I know some people play 3 stands or whatever, maybe 9 draws. I am not a believer of 9 draws. I think if you proc off Maiden of Lost Memory once, you should have good enough, healthy enough hand to coast through the game. With the stand trigger allocation, the reason why I put it on Asha is because cards like Thuria chooses cards, copies the name of units on the board, and then it can bounce to your hand to return something from the drop zone with the same card name as Thuria. And Asha is generally going to be speaking your Vanguard, always going to be there. If you're returning a draw trigger and you're already using a Maiden or whatever, you might overdraw. Returning the Asha makes it so that you're more consistently seeing the stands. And so even if you go into the Jingle Flower turns where you have those big fat numbers, you're not just going to be a 3 attack deck. You can hit a stand and be a 4 or 5 attack deck, comboing off with Gladiolus and whatnot. So that's the reasoning. Let me know if you agree or not, but that's just how I have at it right now. Thank you so much to Narissa for your advice, especially with the Soul Blasting and the stand trigger allocation. I've played around with it, I really have, especially with the grade 3 lineup, maybe playing 3 resist, 2 of the multi-attacker or whatever, but I do think that this is what's working best for me, and is a great place to start off with. Of course, you have a lot of other Asha builds out there. If you want to check out the competitive list on the JP sites, you definitely can do that as well. There's a lot of different mix and matches. I've seen DJ Juzura play the what's it called? The Legion grade 3s instead. I think that is pretty neat as well, especially since, again, if you're playing the 9 draws, you're gonna deck out really fast. The Legion definitely gives you some aggressive options as well. So let's go into the first game against Royal Paladin. Make nature great again. Okay, this is probably going to be VP Farmer, which is a shame, but let's talk about the mulligan while we're here. Again, because we don't play the grade 3 Searcher, maybe mulligan harder for the Strive Fodder or the grade 3 Searcher. And then grade 1, generally ride the Filter, or maybe the Strive Fodder if you already have an Asha. And then grade 2, generally ride the grade 2 Soul Blast 1, or maybe the Maiden, or the Gladiolus. And then grade 3 Asha is pretty standard. So with that said and done, I'm going to see you in the next game right after this. And we're back going into game 2, hopefully a proper game this time around, and demonstrate how this goes. Frankly, haven't spent too much time on Zero, not as much as before. It's just it's just other things getting in the way, and even though I do want to get on Twitch, which is, follow me if you haven't already, link in the description down below. It's just other commitments and whatnot. So, alright, I think this is first place on ladder right now. So, playing Kagero. Okay, then. We have the Strive Fodder, which is really nice. We have the Thuria in hand as well, which is really nice. We have the Maidens, which helps us draw cards, which is really nice. I think this is pretty solid. We're going to ride Pia and go from there. So let's see how this goes. Conroe. Look at this fake Tokoha fan playing Kagero and whatnot. Got to be careful. They have Root Flares to bypass your columns if you're not too savvy with the resists. And gonna keep the starter behind the Vanguard. Reason being is because Kagero do play 10Ks from time to time, and what that means is all the grade 2s are 10K and are below 10K, and so they can't hit without boost, right? They can't hit unboosted, and so I do want to keep the starter just for one more turn. just to make sure we can hit numbers without committing another grid 1 onto the board behind the Vanguard, because generally speaking, a resist unit is best behind that slot. So the question is, will they use the Conrail? They're going to ditch the Overlord to add the Blade Master to their hand, and they're going to call the 9K, so it's going to be... Okay, they're just going to... Okay, they're going to kill the starter. They don't want us to consistently get the Thuria, that's fine. And very nice, 7, 14, 20 numbers. So hopefully we see a defensive here. Hopefully we see a defensive here, and stop this aggro. There we go, that's a beautiful heal. Just going to shut down that column. Boink. Just gonna ride this 9K. I think this is fine. Call this. I'm gonna dump the Maiden of actually. Add this, and I will call a. Should I call? I'll just keep it like this. 9. Just gotta, because we don't have a Strive Fighter, that's what hurts the most. But we're just gonna remove this and see how that goes. 14 plus 5 is still 19, which hits our Vanguard's number, which is a shame. But hard to commit stuff when we need to make sure we can strat next turn. Luckily, we got the heal, so we have a little comfort in terms of the damage allocation. But hopefully, we can do better. So just not going to commit as well. Okay, they're going to see a heal. That's big. And a draw trigger. That's very nice for them. All right, garbage. That's great. All Stride Fighter. There we go. Going into the Asha. And even the dice events do have animations, which is great. Stride. Do we have any ashes in the drop zone? No, we don't. Do I want to use Ash's skill? I do kind of want to use the Maiden of skill. So I'm going to hold off on that. I'm just going to call this. Call this to copy the name. Call this to copy the name. And I guess I'll battle. Should I just, yeah, 15 and then call the 7K. That hits numbers. So this lets us draw 3 cards. Get the counter charge when I hit. Draw trigger's nice. Alright, they're gonna see another trigger, which is gonna trigger me. It's gonna call Thuria. Helps us loop whatever we might have in the drop zone. We could return the Maidens, we can return the Thuria itself, and just have it set up. Because calling the booster isn't gonna do anything anyways, right? So drawing cards is good. Counterblast 2, draw 3. Oh, sorry, Counterblast draw 3 is just great. So, that's that. Blade Master. $11. 15. Okay, attacking with the Vanguard first. Just getting that one retire is gonna scale this up to 12 and this to 11, so that's 23. But we can put the Stride Fighter back if we choose to. The question is it worth it? I'll definitely return the Thuria. Oh, we can dump the... We can play this. We can dump the Asha. Put the Asha back to the deck. That's a really great position. And we do want to pivot the one behind the Vanguard, so we can place the... Nothing worth Superior Calling, right? Yeah, nothing at the moment. The one behind, so we could make space for for the grade 3 resist. How many cards do we have? 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's put this back so we have 9. Okay, remember to the math. Put this one first, and then the theory is after. Just gonna put the Gladiolus back because Gladiolus is great. And this sets up our 21k intercepts, which is really amazing. Really good. No stand trigger, unfortunately, even though we just put one back. So yeah, we have 4 resists on the board. They could root flare this Pia to clear up that that grade 2, the theory in the front row. But let's see if that's the play they choose to go for. That is the play. So maybe committing the Pia wasn't the best play, because it leaves us vulnerable for a root flare. But I didn't know if they would play the root flare or not. So I guess last 2 slots probably Nouveau Express, and I don't know if they play the ace anymore. So we just got Crackdown. Unfortunately, bad play on my end. What did they use to search with the Conroe? Search the Strive Fodder, actually. Okay, no more triggers. Can we see a heal, please? No, that's a PG. That's so unfortunate. Look at them. 8 triggers so far. Not good. Asha. Okay, let's try that again. Dump the Asha. Use the Asha. Copy the Thuria. Cannot call. So you can choose to not call. The one on the right. Let's put the Asha back. Put the Thuria back. It's gonna plat this. Nope. Gonna put one more body with the same name. So I think I think it's how it is. Just for the same name. It does leave us vulnerable for another root flare, but I don't know if they play double root flare. So I hope not. I hope they don't play 4 root flares. I don't really expect it, but you never know. Likely we saw stand there asking for a PG. Let's hope they don't have double root flare. But they did search for their Strive Fodder, so I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say. Okay, 4 root flares. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh wow, playing all the scaling units, so they're really ready for the Neo Nectar matchup, I guess. Just gotta hit over those 21k intercepts. And that's 31 against 13. So that's game. We only have 1 PG and 1 heal left. We need that heal. We need that heal. We need that heal. Can we please see that heal? Come on, heal. Come on. 1 heal. Ah, no heal. That's GG. Well, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. They set it up so that their columns and numbers all really hit nicely, hit over those 21Ks that they need to. They play 4 root flares to get rid of the resists, and I guess against Kagero, I guess just be prepared to set up a full resist board. Maybe, you know, do that better than I did. I think that we got to demonstrate the draw power of the Maiden. That's pretty good, but maybe drawing a little bit more cards, maybe choosing to draw 1 more card by placing that last Thuria down instead of focusing on that +1 from the on hit might have been better, the Arborea, but who knows. All right, going to game 3, we're gonna go against a Shadow Paladin, playing the grade 3 Searcher. So this could be anything. Could be Claret, could be Diablo. Strife Otter, I think, could still be played in Diablo. So here, I'm just gonna ride the Pia. Yeah. And just going to battle. See what happens. PG. Alright, stand trigger. Not gonna use this yet. I don't think Shadows has a Camelast 1 retire. Not like just now. Going to the Blaster Dark Spirit. 14. So it's good that we kept the grade 2s, the starter, I guess. That way we actually can hit 10k numbers without committing a grade 1 onto the board. Okay, I'm gonna ride the Lost Memory. Call the Strife Otter, ditch the Strife Otter. And I might even call this, what? I might even call this Gladiolus. I'll call the Gladiolus out. 13-16. Oh, whenever I set up a extra attack, this happened. Alright, Thuria, very good. Just set it up, safe and sound. We're good to go. That's the #1 priority. Generally, if you do want to commit an extra column, like just now, I would recommend committing a column that hits the second stage. Reason being is because we want to make sure that we proc the starter, especially when we don't have a Thuria on the board yet. So now we know it's a Diablo deck, but playing this instead of the other stand trigger, which I think is better, but who knows. Gonna ride the Asha SP this time. Let's see how this does. Okay, we're gonna go into the pretty straightforward play here. Let's touch the Frildrod. Asha calls out a Thuria, and Thuria heads out. Back to the hand. This does shut us down from the maiden play, but I guess that's okay. 11. Kind of want to keep that grade 3 as a Strife Otter. I think this is not an optimal play. I think someone else could play this better than I do. But this is all I got, unfortunately. The sack is good though. Sack is great. 18 and 26. A nice lead right there. Hitting that heal is a huge swing. And having double resist means that even if they choose to go straight into the PB Diablo, they have no front row to retire, which feels pretty good. So next turn we can still do our on hit. So maybe going into the maiden. Bounce the Thurias, place the Furias, and then Jingle Flower, and then on hit with Maiden to draw a bunch of cards would be pretty good. Definitely would be great to have a healthy dose of cards. You know, maybe draw into some PGs compared to last game where it ended up in the damage instead. Okay, calling 2 units. Draw a card. If you do, discard a card from your hand. Dark Saga Painter. One of my favorite things about the G series is like some of the OG units. You know, they leveled up, right? Like Charon skills now. Maka does something different, I guess. You have cards like Painter, which used to be a grade 1, I believe. Blaster Dark used to be a grade 2, and all that. So I think it's really neat. You see some of that leveling up. Trumpeter used to be a stand trigger. Very nice. Aura Geyser. Draw. Ooh, heal there. Playing a... I don't know how many stands they're playing. Double heal, that's huge. That changes things. That changes things. Might want to ditch the Stride Fodder. Still want to keep the multi-attack option. But we only have 2 counterblasts to play with, so it's either multi-attacking or drawing cards. I think maybe drawing cards is better at this moment. I'll put the Thuria back. Like this. And Vanguard attacks, I guess, first. Second, because we still have stand triggers, but we do want to proc our heals, and we do want to make sure our on hit is valid. Unfortunately, we see that heal, which is not great for this situation. A heal is a heal, though. Still makes it comfortable, but we do want the card draw. That's what we're looking for. Keeping the Thuria safe at the back. But their Phantom Blaster Diablo, I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure about the interaction. I don't think they retire them, do they? But let's see. Alright, going into the Vortimer. Okay. Crits. Alright, a little wild deck. Crit draws and stands here. Dark Saga Painter is kind of as a grade 1. Alright, let's see how this plays out. Going into the Spectral Blaster Diablo. Okay, then. Strides, you get to call a grade 1 from your deck. If your Vanguard is the Spectral Blaster Diablo, you get to call 1 more card. So just Dark Saga Painter is great synergy. But I'm not calling anything more. Cursed Eye Raven goes back to the deck. Call some stuff out. Food for our Spectral Blaster. Okay, nothing too important. You're gonna eat it up anyways, but 20k Intercept is annoying, so I don't know why you would choose to. I mean, maybe just choose to stride into PBD and then retiring the grade 2 would have been fine, but you know, maybe the restand was more worth it. It needs to attack a Vanguard though, so one of these columns need to hit 20, or else it's awkward. It's really awkward. Right, it needs to attack Vanguard. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked the Vanguard. Yeah, so this is awkward. Jingle Flower's good. Jingle Flower's good. Oh man, I'm so sorry. Well, did we just Jingle Flower? You can Asha. Multi-attack. I can use this skill to get Ethuria out. Cannot call. Get Ethuria out, and then they all go back to the deck. Help me put some cards back. one behind Vanguard. Let's put that Asha back. That's pretty good, putting a trigger back to the deck. The bottom right one, let's put the Thuria back. And this one I think we can keep. Just gonna call a... We have a Thuria, right? Yep, we do. And call a Thuria. Back row, and it can attack, and then we can bounce it back to the hand at the end of the turn, so that works out really fine. Back row attack. 14. We do have stand triggers, note that. 16. Oh, they have stand triggers. Not that relevant though. Draw a trigger, third check, so it doesn't matter, but if it's the first or second, put it to the left column. But yeah, I think one of the weaknesses of Shadows, as much as I love them, is the deck out issue. It's just really rough right now. You superior color a lot from the deck, you need to, but at the same time, you don't have a way to replenish the deck. Unlike, whoa. What is that? Discarding 3 PG for that stride? That is a big move right there. Huge move. Brand win. So yeah, Neo Nectars being able to superior call, but then still put stuff back to the deck is amazing. It's just great. Brand win. 10, 14, 43. They might retire just to clear up our board, especially since these are on discounts, and it's not like these brand wins are worth much. Okay, remove the booster. I guess it doesn't matter. Taking 2 damage here, but our opponent's down to 4 cards. And I guess at this point it's about turtling. Just don't let our opponent do stuff. I mean, we can just win as well. Not a big deal. I guess we get to showcase. I don't know. Let's just do Jingle Flower. Jingle Flower for the win. It's just great. You can also try to play with 4 of the Grade 4 Ashas. I think the new set Asha is pretty bad. I tested it. It's not that great. But it's fine when we have the the 12 card G zone. Maybe then it will be better. Put this back. Just call stuff out. Gets all the names. Again, play the 3 last. And go for game. You could use P as well, I guess. You could technically Gladiolus into something else if you have a booster, but we don't, and it's still fine. And that is game. Thuria wins the game. It's just an amazing card, and definitely top card of this. One of the top cards of this set. So I guess that's basically it. I think this is pretty good showcase of the deck. First game we lost, but our opponent played a very Kagero retiring and scaling centric deck that plays around Neo Nectars. I definitely think that this is meant to be a meta choice. And for the second game, we showcase basically everything from the toolkit. You just set up your resists. You just set up your numbers, and it is a pain in the ass. And that's basically everything. Well, the introduction to the deck that you need to know. So, if I missed out anything, let me know down below. I'm still learning the deck, honestly. It is not the easiest deck to play, especially when I am inexperienced with Neo Nectars. But I hope I did enough to showcase the deck for you. Thank you so much to the members, Kamui, Tumelo, KC, and ZBD. Thank you so much for being members of the channel and supporting us. Hope you liked the video. If you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already and want to see more. And lastly, wishing Kamui the best of luck for the Nova Grappler rank season. Today is the last day. I don't know if this video will come out on the last day of the season or not, but right now he's second place, so hope he can keep it up, maybe luck out and get to first. Unfortunately, I couldn't beat first place for you, but all the best, and hope you have a good rest after this. So again, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.